Hey guys, it's Courtney. Today I am drawing Belle from Beauty and the Beast. And so first off, I am starting with a sketch. And the first sketch I did, I really didn't like how it was turning out. Like the proportions were really off and I don't know, I just wasn't feeling it. So I decided to restart, which is what you're seeing here. To sketch it out, I am using my red Prismacolor col-erase, not Premier, pencil, just so that I can get the rough outlines down, and then after that I can go over with graphite so that it's easier to see when I trace over it with my light box. For Belle's actual pose, I'm not that familiar with her. I've seen the movie and stuff, but I haven't drawn her that much. So I decided to look at a few different reference photos just so that I had an idea of how to draw like her dress and her hair, just for some examples. And so I looked at a few different reference photos and I found one that I really liked. But instead of just copying it straight off, I used that more as a guide, sort of. And I changed the position of her arms, her head, things like that, just to make it more my own. And I also drew it in my own style, like I didn't really draw it in the Disney style. But now, as you can see, I'm just going over it with graphite, just like as I mentioned before, just so that I can see it through my light box better when I'm tracing it. So here is my finished sketch. And here are the inks. I traced the sketch onto my Canson illustration marker paper, and I used my Huion LED light pad to trace it, and to outline it, I used my Sakura Microns in 0.5, and I used the sepia one and the black one. And now, as you can see, I'm coloring it with my Copic markers. So right here, I'm kind of doing some weird editing. It's just because on her forehead, as you can see, the ink smudged with the Copic, so it smeared all the way down her forehead. And I had to get my face really close to the paper so I could see all the details. I was trying to fix it, so I just decided to cut that part out so that it was easier to see. All you would have seen was my head. For her skin, I used the colors E11, E21, and E000. And now I'm coloring her hair, and for that, I used E59, Warm Gray 5, E74, and E44. For the shine in her hair, I'm using my white jelly roll. Although, throughout the piece, I mainly used my Uniball Signo gel pen, as you just saw there, to do the eyes. Overall, I think I like the Uniball Signo one better because it gives a really opaque white line compared to the jelly roll. But one downside is that the tip is it's a lot broader than the jelly roll. So that's why I use the jelly roll for the hair, to get those fine lines. Also, I use my gold metallic jelly roll for her hairband and her earring, and I'm also going to be using it to color those little beads on the skirt of her dress, you know, those little loop things. I'm using the gel pen to add a metallic look to those beads, just for some pizzazz, I guess. I didn't want the picture to be super flat. I wanted it to have some more dimension with the metallic look, so I think that added a cool effect. Now I am coloring her dress, and I was just using my hex chart to find the colors that I wanted. And so the yellows that I used for her dress, for the lighter parts of her dress, which is her skirt, those little U-shaped loops around her sleeves, and her gloves, I used Y28 for the darker shadows, Y15 for the mid-tone, and Y11 for the lightest highlights. Then for the darker part of her dress, which is her bodice and those loops like I was mentioning before, which is what I'm coloring now. I used Y28 again for the darkest shadows and Y19. I also added a bit of gel pen to those loops just to give them a bit of a satiny feel, because right now they look really flat. The thing is, with this picture, I was kind of nervous when I wanted to draw Belle because her dress is very yellow, and I don't have that many yellow Copics. So I knew it was going to be a challenge to shade and find different tones for the lighter parts and the darker parts of her dress. And so that Y28 was the darkest yellow I had without making it look like an orange. So I didn't want it to look flat. I also used my Y11 just on top. It lightened it a little bit, but it didn't do too much. But that's all I could do, so I'm quite happy with how that turned out. So now I'm just finishing up coloring the skirt of her dress, and I'm adding that those gold metallic dots as I mentioned before. I actually really like the way it looks. It adds a nice shiny element to the picture, so I'm glad that I added that little effect. So now I'm just signing my name and the date, and here is the Belle drawing. So I'm just showing a head to toe, I guess, and I'm just flashing the picture back and forth so that you can see the reflection of the metallic. Here is my finished Belle drawing. So thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video.